Welcome back to the KOAM Morning Show. Lori Horton joins us in studio to teach us how to make Southern butter pound cake.
Good morning, Lori. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. So January's over. We already broke all of those New Year's resolutions. Yeah. Let's just make a butter pound cake.
Off the table. We're going pound cake. And it's pound cake because traditionally it was made with a pound of butter, a pound of eggs, a pound of flour, and a pound of sugar.
Easy.
Nothing healthy about that at all, but that's okay. It's delicious.
We deserve it.
We do. So, usually I kind of keep things a little bit simpler. This recipe is maybe a little bit more detailed than we normally do, but it's a really good one. Don't be intimidated by a from scratch cake recipe because it's really not that complicated. And we've only got a couple of ingredients that you probably don't already have in the cabinet. So nothing too scary.
All right.
We're going to start with 2 separate bowls. This is going to be our dry ingredients and then end up being our wet ingredients. So not a lot different than when we make a lot of cookie recipes where you kind of separate those and then blend them together in the end. But I've got just some flour over here. This is just a little bit of baking powder and salt. And then we're just going to really lightly, if you can hit that for me, just whisk that in a little bit. You always want to make sure that that doesn't end up in one clump in the middle. And then that's just going to set aside while we work in all of these soft and liquid ingredients. And I've already got just some plain old granulated sugar in my big bowl over here.
Big bowl of sugar.
Big bowl of sugar. And then we're starting with a combination. Okay. I've got 2 sticks of just regular butter, actually. And this is just room temperature, kind of soft but not melted. And then I've got another stick of butter flavored shortening. So I will brand name drop there. That is good old Crisco. You do kind of want to stick with that
because it's a Southern recipe.
It's a Southern recipe, and when it comes to that butter flavoring, it's a little bit richer. It really is just a little bit better. So that's what we want to do, is really get something that's going to bring out all of those good rich butter flavors. So we are going to take this and start to cream it together.
Okay.
As it gets incorporated, we're going to add our eggs.
All right.
We're going to add some flavoring. And the recipe that is online on our KOAM News Now app is going to be to make it kind of lemon flavored if you want. So like vanilla lemon.
That makes sense, yes.
It's good. You can add anything in there you want, but I kind of thought we'd mix it up this morning, and I added a little bit of rum flavoring to mine.
All right.
And we're going to make kind of a rum glaze that we're going to put on the top when we get done to just tie all that together. Just again, tweak it to your taste.
Yes.
If lemon's your favorite, go with lemon. You can make the glaze lemon flavored as well. Put some fresh fruit in there, make it a little bit springy, strawberries, raspberries. It's delicious together. But we're going to start with that, and when we get these 2 things kind of ready to go, when we come back, we'll have them all blended without making a whole lot of noise for you today. And we'll show those textures and everything so that you'll know how to put those 2 things together. And we'll go from there into our bundt pan, make all those lovely shaped cakes super easy. The nice part is this one bakes for kind of a long time, so you can do 2 things at once.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah. All right, we'll stick around. We'll have more Cooking with Lori when we come up. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning Show. Lori Horton started showing us how to make a delicious Southern butter pound cake. Now, Lori, what is the next step?
All right. Well, what we did during the break was we got all of our wet ingredients all creamed together. So that was our sugar, our eggs, our butter, our butter flavored shortening, all of those yummy ingredients. And we had the dry ingredients whisked together. So that's just the flour, the baking powder, the salt. And I've got just a little bit left to go to get those finally all blended together. And it's alternating with the dry ingredients and then some whole milk and some buttermilk. And the buttermilk is really going to make this nice and rich.
Buttermilk is stinky for those of you at home.
It is a little bit.
What is that smell?
It's a little tangy.
Well, yeah,
but
sour.
A little sour, somewhere between sour cream and milk. It is that leftover liquid when you make and churn actual butter. So it's, believe it or not, lower in fat.
No way.
It is. It's like 1%, so kind of equivalent to 1% milk as far as that fat. But it really gives a good rich flavor, and kind of again like with sour cream when you want that in there for that little bit of tanginess.
And it won't have that sour taste. It'll blend well.
Not at all. Trust me, we counteracted it with plenty of sugar.
Yes, we did.
All right, so once we get all of those mixed together, we've got a nice fluffy batter here, just pretty standard fare for a cake. It's not real stiff, not too thin. And then I'm going to take just a classic bundt pan and spray that with some non-stick baking spray. Make sure you get the inside of that tube, and you can do this in a regular, any kind of a pan that you want.
The bundt cake looks cool though.
The bundt cake looks pretty. It's kind of a classic. American. If you're ever bored, look up the history of the bundt pan. It's kind of interesting if you're a baking nerd like me.
Yeah.
So, it really is kind of cool. We're going to fill this up. This batter is going to take this pan almost to the top.
Okay.
And this cake is not going to rise a whole lot. It's just not that type of batter.
That's good to know.
So don't panic when you think, oh my gosh, this is a whole pan full of batter. It's going to be all over my oven. It is not, I promise. So we get all of that in there, and then you want to really take care to spread it around the pan nice and even. And then my last little tip with this guy, because you don't want to get a lot of big air pockets in there, is you want to take this and tap it lightly on your counter.
Hey, okay. So that's the trick.
A little bit heavier than that, but we'll be nice so we don't make too much noise. But you want to just tap that around, and what that's going to do is if you have any really large air bubbles in there,
Brings them
it
all
will
up.
start to bring them to the top. You'll
Burping
see
the
'em.
cake, essentially.
Exactly.
Like a baby.
Exactly. We bring that up there. If you need to, you can take a toothpick and kind of get the last of those out. But it makes it nice and even. So this is going to go in your oven, and it bakes for quite a while. This is going to bake for like an hour and 20 minutes.
Really? An
Yes.
hour, at what temperature?
At what temperature is a great question. It is on our
20
website.
minutes.
It's an hour and 20 minutes. I believe it's 325.
Double
325.
check on the website,
Double
though.
check
That's
that
why it's
recipe
there.
on the website.
All right.
But
Well,
check it. Make sure you don't overbake it, because remember, it keeps baking when it comes out.
Can't bake the cake. Well, stick around because we have the final part 3
Yes.
of this great cake. We'll be right back.
Canar Eye Care.
Welcome back. Lori has been showing us how to make a Southern butter pound cake. So, Lori, what are the final steps that we have left?
Final stages on that. We got all of our batter in that pan, and like we mentioned, 325, low and slow on that baking. So we're going to check it after about an hour. And when you do that, you just want to have a pretty standard little cake tester, toothpick, something that you can kind of poke in that top. When it comes out clean, it's done. And it's always best to kind of err on the side of let it go ahead and come out. It's going to keep baking as it's out of the oven. So I know that sounds weird, but when you pull that out at 325, it's going to continue to go.
This is the exciting part,
This
right?
is the exciting part. So magic of television. We went from our cake batter in the pan here to now we have our finished cake.
Right, it's beautiful.
I leveled the top just a little bit. Again,
Straight
this
up
one
knife,
doesn't.
just
Yeah,
slice
this
right
one
through?
doesn't rise a whole lot, so you don't have to take much off the bottom. But this lets it set nice and flat on your tray, your plate, whatever you're going to turn that out on. So we're just going to flip that over, and hopefully,
Tap, tap, tap.
ba-ba-ba-bam,
Oh,
comes
it's
out nice and
beautiful. Look at that. I mean, that
So,
is stunning.
It is. It's perfect. It's easy. It's going to look pretty, and you can just take it to something just like that. Our other option would be to dust with a little bit of powdered sugar. That's kind of a classic topping
Yes.
for a bundt pan, but I like a little bit of a glaze on the top, and this just soaks in a little bit. It gives it a little bit more flavor, and you can add some complementary flavors to it. Again, we added rum to our cake batter, so we could make this a coconut glaze.
Okay.
Or something like that, which is delicious. I added just a little bit of my rum extract to it as well. And this is just simply powdered sugar and heavy whipping cream.
Easy.
Easy, easy. You don't need to get the mixer back out or anything like that. This is not going to need to have any air in it, so we're just going to do this by hand until we get a nice sort of pourable glaze like that. So I'm going to do just a smidge more. We don't want it to just run off the top of the cake. We want it to hang out there for
Yes,
just a
you
minute
have
and
to-
soak in that sweet flavor.
Presentation, too.
Exactly. It's got to look good. You know how I do.
But it does look beautiful just as is. Like,
It
has
really
a nice
does.
shine to it.
It does. And you know,
even-
like this, the beauty of the pound cake and the bundt cakes is they freeze really well. So this is always something that you can do earlier in the week, and when you have things coming up later, you can pull those out and then just top them or do your final steps then.
All right, so we're taking a spatula here.
Yeah, this is just going to
And-
be super easy. I'm just going to kind of get a little bit on there. And again, it's thin enough that then as you kind of swirl that around on it, it's just
Okay.
going to sort of do its thing. You just want to make sure it's halfway even. So don't get a huge clump and leave it hanging out. Kind of get that smeared around a little bit. And you can get fancy with this. Again, you could put some shredded coconut, some pecans on there.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, again, the beauty of the bundt cake is you've got that center.
Beauty
you
of the
could-
bundt
The
cake.
beauty of the bundt cake. You could fill that with whipped cream. You could fill that with fresh fruit. Just kind of whatever your taste. You know, it's just so customizable. That's what I love about it.
Well, it's beautiful.
Be
Lori, thank
perfect
you
for
so
a
much.
Super Bowl party, wouldn't it?
Yes, yes. You can find this recipe, of course, online, as well as all of Lori's great baking. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us,
you.
as always. And we'll be right back with more news after this.